All right, guys, we might make a start. All right, welcome everyone, and thanks for attending today's PlayHQ Club webinar. I hope you guys are going all right during these strange times. My name is Kevin, and I'm a Digital Support Officer at Basketball Victoria, a role that I've been in for the past 2 years. I've been involved in basketball my whole life as a player, referee, competition administrator, and outside of my role at BV, I'm currently a statistician and score table official at state, national, and international level. Joining me today will be Matt, who joined Basketball Victoria's digital support team at the start of the year. Matt has previously worked in the sport technology space at both vendor and sport governing body levels. You'll hear from him a bit later on as he runs you through the training and demonstration of the PlayHQ platform. Also helping us out is Dave, who will be answering your questions via chat. Dave's been in the Basketball Victoria digital support space for over 10 years and has a wealth of experience. Today's session has been catered to suit those who are new to PlayHQ and also to provide a bit of a refresher for those who may already have attended an in-person club training session. We hope you find it beneficial as we move closer to a return to sport. Just a bit of housekeeping for today. If everyone can stay on mute, that would be much appreciated. However, if you do have any questions, please ask them via the chat function. And as mentioned, Dave will be on hand to answer them. We also have set aside some time throughout today's webinar to discuss and answer any or some of those questions. Today's session will go for about an hour and a half, for about an hour, and we hope to get through that quickly so that you guys can get back to the rest of your day. And we'll also be sending out a recording of the session afterwards. So don't worry if you missed anything, as we'll be covering a fair bit of material. All right, Matt, can I get you to switch to the next slide, please? So in today's session, we're going to go through the database setup, registration supplements, which are merchandise, discounts, custom fields. We'll set up the registration form and provide a demo of how this works for your players and parents. We'll show you the allocation of players to teams and then from teams to grades. We'll go through a bit of reporting and then we'll familiarise you guys with what the public will see in PlayHQ. Thanks, Matt. Just want to talk a bit about why we're doing this. So we want to provide our users and administrators with a better experience overall. So we want a system that's easier to use, one that's free from advertising and designed to suit basketball. We've got a need at state level to have better participation data. This enables us to get funding for facilities from government and other bodies and enables us to grow the sport as a whole. There are legal obligations around data as stipulated by the Australian Privacy Act and Data Principles of Australia. In this day and age, users can no longer, users own their own data and we can no longer register players on their behalf or roll players over from season to season. It's all about self-registration and self-management of data. Thanks, Matt. In the past, we've had various fee structures across the state of Victoria, but we're moving to a more equitable, affordable, transparent and fair fee structure. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail about this because there's more information on Basketball Victoria's website, but we are moving to a rolling 365-day registration and membership model. So it's a bit like a driver's license. And in short, if the registrant does not already have a membership that lasts them for the entire season that they are registering to, the system will make them buy a new license or extend their existing license for another 365 days at that point in time. We wanted to, the main reason for this was we didn't want anyone's membership to lapse mid-season for obvious reasons. The key point here is that registrations and the BV membership in particular is handled by the system. So club administrators, association administrators, players and parents need not worry about it. The system will charge the players when they need a new license. You guys don't need to worry about it or handle it at all. The prices there, or the fees there on screen, what the current Basketball Victoria fees are, and it's our understanding that they are the lowest in the country from a state body point of view. But as I said, jump on the BV website for more information about that. Thanks, Matt. Now, just want to talk a bit about PlayHQ. So Basketball Victoria has partnered with a company called Codeware. They're an IT consulting and development company based in Fitzroy, so they're locally based, and they've got their roots. They've got roots in netball, cricket, and soccer. So they've worked a lot with sport in the past. So we've formed PlayHQ, and we are the foundation client of PlayHQ. In recent news, which is a massive coup for PlayHQ, the AFL has signed on with this platform, and they'll be using the system from 2021 onwards for their registration and competition management as well. So we are, being the foundation client, we've been able to tailor make the system for Basketball Victoria. But I guess at the same time, it's important to keep in mind that this system is being built from the ground up, but we do have some great foundations in place. For a variety of reasons, it was imperative that we moved on to the new system as soon as possible. So once all the basics were in place, we started transitioning across to the new system with our pilot group commencing in summer 2019-20, and all associations by the end of this calendar year will be across to the new system. So with the ongoing development, the approach that we've gone about with this is we're building base level functionality for all modules to get obviously the functionality in place to use, such as tournaments and other stuff that are in the works, before looping back to enhance. So what you guys see at the moment is just the beginning, but there's a hell of a lot more to come. All right, at this point, I might hand over to Matt, who's going to run you guys through the training and development, the training and demonstration of the PlayHQ platform. So over to you, Matt. Just give me 1 second. Just got to find Matt to unmute him. There you go, Matt.
Thanks, Kev. All right, I'll share my screen. Can you see my screen okay, Kev? Yep, all good. All right, yeah, thanks everyone, and thanks for tuning in today. As Kev mentioned, I'm going to run you through a demo of key club tasks in PlayHQ, and yeah, hopefully you find it beneficial and helpful for the running of your club. So the first thing I want to talk about is just access to the PlayHQ admin site, which I'm currently in. Many of you will already have access to your club here, which is great, but if you don't, please speak to your association, and they'll be able to help you out to get the relevant access. So for this first section, I'm just going to show or go through the initial setup of what you'll need to do in PlayHQ, as well as some sort of extra things around setting up your registrations. So first thing I'm going to look at is my organization and the overview section, which I'm in now. So the first area here is details, and just to run you through this, your logo. Some clubs may have this logo already uploaded, but if you don't, please submit a support ticket with an image file of your club logo, and the PlayHQ team will need to upload that for you on your behalf. We've then got the organisation website. So this is your club website that will be visible on the public PlayHQ site. So if someone's looking at your club, looking at registrations, fixtures, etc., at the bottom of the page, this is the club website that will link off to your external site. An optional feature here is for terms and conditions for your club. So if you have specific T's and C's for your club, again, you can add a link here, and a little bit later on, I'll show you how you can add this link to the registration forms that your members will then have to accept as part of the registration process. And the last option down here, club team abbreviation. So this is just a little helpful feature that allows you to add a team nickname or abbreviation, and when you're creating teams, this will then populate with this nickname or abbreviation. The next section is contacts, and this is the primary contact for your for your club, which will appear publicly on the playhq.com website. So make sure the details here is someone or a generic email for people to contact you as a club, and then yeah, just make sure that's either a generic email for your club, or you may have someone's personal email you want to put in there. That's completely up to you. And then just this other information to add as well. I'll go through vouchers a little bit later on. The last section here is payments. So for this club, you'll notice that the payment details have already been submitted. So if you haven't submitted your payment details, you'll need to do so here to allow for payments to be processed through the payment gateway, which is provided by Stripe. Okay, so if you haven't filled it out, they'll have all these payment details you'll need to submit. They'll get reviewed and then approved, so then you can collect payments as part of the registration process. The next thing I'll show you is accepting invites from your associations, so competitions and then invitations. So here, how it works is that an association will need to invite your club to compete in a specific season and that relevant competition as well. Okay, so many of you probably already accepted those invites, but if you haven't, then yeah, speak to your association. They'll need to do the setup for this season at their end, invite your club, and then you'll need to accept that. So then you get access to that association to then set up registrations so players can register to that competition. Another initial setup is around admins. Okay, again, the My Organisation section, click on admins. Here you'll see a list of active users. So these are people who have admin access to this website for your club. And then there's also invited users. So this is people who you invited to become active users. So how this works is that you'll invite a new admin, you'll put in their name, their email address. They'll then get an email from PlayHQ, which will prompt them to create a PlayHQ profile. And once they've done that, they'll then have access to be able to get into the club in the PlayHQ admin site and become an active user. All right, so I'm going to just show some registration supplements. So things like vouchers, discounts, merchandise, etc. So first thing I'll demo is the vouchers. So we're jumping back into the overview section, vouchers. And here you'll see I've already created a bunch of different vouchers, but looking at this top one, I've created a $10 off voucher. So if I click on edit, here you'll see the name of the voucher, the amount to be taken off. So this will be taken off the club fee, and I'll show you this a little bit later on. And then there's also an option to set how many times this code can be applied at checkout. Okay, so for this example, I've set that to 10, so it can only be used 10 times. The next thing I'll show you is merchandise. So we've got a menu of the merchandise, like products. So here is where, this is a relatively new feature. Earlier in the year, when we're doing a lot of face-to-face training sessions with clubs, a common feedback was that they were really keen to have merchandise and be able to add merchandise products to their registration forms. So we pushed that forward in our roadmap for development and got that completed and released a couple of weeks ago. So this is relatively new, but works quite well. So as an example, I've created a hoodie product over here. Click edit. So you add the product name, a description for the product, whether it's active or not. You can obviously turn that off if you wish to. Keep scrolling down. And then there's two product types that you can set up. One is single, so if there's only one price or one type of product, you'd set it single. However, if there's variations, so this is very common for clothing, so when there's different sizes or different colors, styles, etc., you can create a number of different variations, which includes a different amount. And you can also have individual SKUs. So A lot of suppliers use SKUs to track the products. So you may wish to add an SKU, which is an optional feature to each individual variation of the product. And then you've also got availability. So this is where you can set that that there is stock available in this variation. If you untick it, then on the registration form, this will still be visible, but won't be able to be selected for purchase. And again, we'll show you that a little bit later on when we add a product to a registration form and go through that process end to end. The next thing I'll show you is custom fields. So I'm going to jump into competitions. I'm going to select the relevant competition that I'm setting up registrations for. And this area is, I guess, the main area that you'll spend most of your time configuring registrations, managing participants, grades, and teams. So we'll go through all this a little bit later on. But for custom fields, click on registration, and there's a custom fields subfield here. So for this participant custom field, it's asking what night can't you train? So how you use custom fields in the registration forms, there's a bunch of mandatory fields that have been, I guess, made mandatory by us at Passport Victoria and potentially your association as well. So that includes first name, last name, date of birth, email, etc. So if there's additional information that isn't captured as a mandatory field, you can obviously create a custom field for your club to then capture that information as part of the registration. So if I click on edit for this custom field, it's asking what night can't you train? There's two types of custom fields. There's a drop-down list, which is what I'm doing here, and there's also a text field option as well. I've had a couple of days there as drop-down options. And then you can apply this custom field for specific roles. So for this one, I'm only selecting players. So if a player's registering, this field will appear, but I haven't ticked coaches or team managers. So if a coach or a team manager is obviously registering, that field will not appear. And then there's some extra settings on what type of forms the field will appear on. All right, select back. And the last thing in this section I'm going to show you is family discounts. Okay, so down below here in the registration section, we've got family member discounts. So I'm going to click manage. So how this works is that you as a club can set a discount for any subsequent children that get registered by their parents. So for example, if you add a discount percentage in here, let's just say I'm a parent and I've got 3 children. My first child registers and this discount is turned on. They won't receive the 10% discount because they're the first child registering. However, when my second and third child register, they will then be applied the 10% discount, which will come off the club fee. So if the club fee is $100, the system will know that as long as my children are linked to me correctly in PlayHQ, the system will know that for the second and third children, the discount will be applied to their registration and they'll get 10% discount off the club fee. And again, I'll show you that in action a little bit later on. All right, so I'm going to hand back over to you, Kev. Is there any questions that need to be answered?
Yeah, we've got a question about the transaction fee. So in PlayHQ, the current transaction fee that's being charged is 3.49%. So this is something that is our starting point for the transaction fee, if you like. And what we're looking to do is once more organizations come on board the system, PlayHQ will be able to negotiate better pricing with Stripe Connect, which is our payment gateway, if you like. And we're looking to bring that down some more to make it more affordable for registrants going forward. So the price that you set, that Matt's going to show you in a second, is the price that the player or parent will pay, and then the club or association will receive that less 3.49%. I think that's the only one that we want to talk about at this point in time. So back to you, Matt.
Okay, thanks, Kev. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to configure your registration forms, and then we'll demo of an end-to-end registration of how your members, parents, players, etc. will register once you make that form available. So again, competitions, select the relevant competition that you want to set registrations up for, and then the registration tab, and then it'll land on the forms page. So I'm going to configure a participant to club form. So what this will do is that participant will register directly to the club, and once they're registered, they'll be added into the pool of players that will be able to be allocated to teams after they've registered. There is also a participant to club team form as well. So I guess to take it one further step, you can set up this similar or pretty much the same type of form. However, when creating a team, you can get a unique registration link for that individual team. So if you set up 5 teams and you've set up this form, you'll have 5 individual registration links that you can then provide or send to those players who are going to be registering for each of those individual teams. So again, we'll show you that a little bit later on, but I guess it'll save you the hassle of having to manually allocate players to teams. But for this example, we're going to show you participant to club form. So I'm going to click manage, or if it's never been created before, there'll be an option here to set it up. So the first option for configuring a participant to club form is setting the registration period. So the start date of when the registration form will be available, and then the end date. So this end date can be changed later on. So if you want to extend the registration period, obviously you can extend the date there. Scrolling down, we've got a breakdown of the registration fees. So here we'll see a breakdown of potential fees from a higher level. So the BV annual license fee, which Kev explained before. And then also the if there's an association fee, it will be shown here too. So these are fees that will be included in the registration form. And then down here is setting the registration fees for your club. So for this, we've set a $100 player fee. And then we've also got coach fee, team manager fee, which I haven't come across a club that has been charging their coaches or team managers just yet, because obviously majority are volunteers. So we expect that you wouldn't charge them any money, but that option is there if needed. But the main one is the player fee for the registration. There's advanced registration fees, so you can break it down further and potentially charge different amounts for different genders, different age groups, etc. Custom fields, that's the same area I went through before. And then we've got products. So these are the merchandise products to then allocate to this registration form. So you'll see here, I've allocated that hoodie that I showed before to this registration form. If you want to search for other products and add them, you can do so here as well. And then we have some additional information that which you may wish to add as part of the registration form about the particular registration. And we've also got add your terms and conditions. So this is the link that I showed in the details section. So if your club does have specific T's and C's, you'll need to add it as a link in this section, the overview section, and then make sure this is turned on so it's then applied to the T's and C's section of the registration form. And the last option here is registration visibility. So if this is selected as visible and the registration period is obviously open, then this registration form will be publicly available on the PlayHQ.com website when someone searches for your club. If it is hidden, this means that it won't appear on the PlayHQ public website. However, you can still provide a link to your members to then register to, because the form will still be active, it just won't be visible on the PlayHQ site. Okay, so now I've set up my form and I'm gonna go back, and you'll see now the form is open, has a summary of the registration period, and it has this unique link to this registration form. So if the form was hidden, then you could potentially still send out this link to your members, or maybe your members from previous seasons who you want to give access to the registration first before making it fully public. But for this example, I'm just going to leave it visible. So now I'm going to show you the end-to-end demonstration of the registration. So I'm going to open this link. And I'm now at the opening page of the registration on playhq.com. The first thing I want to talk about is top right. You'll see my name is appearing, Matt. So this is appearing because I'm a parent and I've created a PlayHQ profile. Something that's really important and something to really emphasize with your parents in particular is that they need to create a PlayHQ profile for themselves first before registering their children. So the reason why this happens is that, as Kev mentioned before, we want parents and players and individuals responsible for their own information. And by the parents creating their own PlayHQ profile, they can then link their children directly underneath them as what we call dependents, and then fully manage their profiles and personal information, etc. So I strongly recommend that you emphasize with your parents to make sure they create a PlayHQ account for themselves before registering their children. All right, so as mentioned, I'm on the opening page here. You'll see that additional information that I entered for that form is appearing here, and I'm going to click Get Started. It will now prompt me to select who I'm going to be registering. So as mentioned before, I'm pretending that I'm a parent. So that's me, Matt Shimell. And it has the option for me to register myself, or I have the option to register my children. So I've got 4 kids here who have previously been registered or set up in PlayHQ, hence why they appear here, and they're linked directly underneath me. There's also the option to register a new family member or dependent if they've never registered before in PlayHQ. So for this example, I'm going to register my child, Kev Shimell. So I'm going to select him, click Continue. I'm registering him as a player. But it's also worth knowing that there's also options to register as a coach or team manager. So for example, if I was coaching my son's under 12A basketball team, I would be able to register myself through this same form and select a coach. And the benefits of doing this is, especially around working with children checks, and that type of information is collected as part of this process, or any additional custom fields that clubs want to collect for coaches or team managers, they can do so on this throughout this. So it's really important for safeguarding children within your club and making sure everyone's got the right checks to be a coach or team manager and things like that. But for this example, I'm going to be registering my son Kev as a player. So here's his personal participant details, which have been previously filled out. I'll keep scrolling. Okay. Additional details. So this is the custom field. So I'm going to select Wednesdays, he can't train. Keep scrolling down. We've got parent guardian information. You can add multiple parent and guardians if needed, and then an emergency contact as well. All right, so now we get to the fees section. So here we'll show the fees available for the participant. So for Kev, his BV license fee is up for renewal. So the system will automatically add the $25 for that annual license fee. He had already paid it in a previous registration within that 365 days or in and around that, then potentially that price that fee won't be included, but the system automatically knows when to do that. The association fee, they haven't said anything, so obviously that stays at $0. And then we've got the club player registration fee, so that's $100. And because Kev's siblings have already been registered, the system will then add the 10% family member discount, which will come off the club fee here. Okay, so that becomes $90 based off that discount. We've then got the terms and conditions down below, which need to be ticked. And then if I select T's and C's here, there'll be a link to each of the individual T's and C's, which have been included as part of this registration. So I'm going to tick that and continue. We then get to the products page. So this is the merchandise products, which are obviously optional to be selected. So I'm going to purchase a medium-sized hoodie, and then you'll see that that amount for the product is down here and is added to the subtotal. Select continue, and now we get to the payment and summary page, the final page. So on the order summary, obviously I'll give another breakdown of the fees, and then there's the enter voucher code. So I'm just going to quickly jump back to admin. All right, I'm going to copy that voucher code for that $10 off code that I showed you at the start. Okay, so that code can be then provided to your eligible members for that particular voucher. I'll paste it in, apply, and now you'll see a further $10 has been taken off the, again, it comes off this club fee amount. And then we'll just put in some credit card details, which are obviously dummy details, so don't worry about screenshotting the screen right now. 1, 2, 3. And then I'll just put in the billing address. Cool. So we've put in the payment information. I'm happy with the order summary, and now I'm going to confirm the purchase. So I've successfully registered Kev, and I will now receive 2 emails from the system. One is a confirmation email that the registration has gone through, and the second one is an invoice, obviously with the payment information, which they can then use. So now that I've registered, I'm just going to show you the profile and how people can manage their profiles and view information. So as mentioned before, this is my profile. I'm going to select profile up here, and you'll see my name's here. So I'm looking at my information as the parent, and I have the ability to edit my info. So if anything changes, I can edit that. Really important to know that only the individual can access this info to edit. You as club admins cannot edit this, and that's really to protect you and make sure, I guess, all the privacy policies and everything like that are being adhered to. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change user, the little drop down option underneath my name. So I'm the primary account holder, and my dependents or my children will appear here as well. So I've just registered Kev. I'm going to select him, and now obviously I'm looking at Kev's profile. Again, if I need to edit his details, I can. I can see his guardian details, emergency contact, etc. So if I go to registration history, this is the registration that I just completed. And if I click on plus, there's some further information about the registration. And the last tab here is memberships. So if I click on plus, this will give, I guess, an overview of the Bathville Victoria license fee, when it started, when the expiry date is going to occur. So if they want to know how long their BV fee goes for, they will then be able to view this as well. All right, Kev, is there any questions that need to be answered?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I know Dave has been frantically answering everyone's questions as they're coming in, so thanks for that, Dave. Just a couple that I want to discuss. There've been a couple about the ability to upload documentation like birth certificates or working with children checks and stuff like that as part of the registration process, obviously to you could validate the legitimacy of people's registrations. At the moment, that functionality is not available, but it's definitely on the roadmap, and we are going to get that built into the system at a later stage. I don't have an ETA at the moment, but as touched on at the start, we're building the system from the ground up, from absolutely nothing. So we're building I guess, the bare essentials of what needs to be in place for basketball to happen, and we'll look to build it out further. And the beauty of having a tailor-made system is we can, steer the development direction in whichever way we like. There was another question about the ability to charge different fees based on whether a team trains, doesn't train, maybe has a coach, does not have a coach. So the overwhelming feedback that we got when we were scoping the new system was that we wanted something that was extremely simple, that was a wizard where you can just go click, click, next. So we didn't want something with multiple products and different fee structures. So the way we've gone about it is that there is one registration form per season, per club. And what could happen there is it's nice and simple, but if you need flexibility in your pricing, as Matt touched on, there is the advanced fees, but there is also that option of discount vouchers to be provided for those that might not train or might not have a coach or whatever the case might be. So that's the way of, I guess, building flexibility into your pricing. All right, back to you, Matt.
Cool, thanks, Kev. All right, so now I'm going to show you, I guess, post-registration, what you can do at a club admin level. So again, I'm going to jump back into the competition area. Okay, view. So now I'm going to view the participants who have registered. So in this section, there's participants, just like that. And then you'll see here a list of players who have been registered for this competition. So Kev Shimell is the player I registered a short time ago. So I'm going to click view. And here I'll see his registration history. So this is obviously what you can see as a club admin, which is also obviously available to the registrant via their own PlayHQ profile. So if I click drop down for this registration, you get some more information about the details they entered, as well as the custom fields. So you can't edit any of their personal private information. However, you do have the ability to edit their custom fields. So they may have changed their mind, and you can go in and change that on their behalf. A new feature that we released a couple of weeks ago is the ability to cancel a registration. So what this allows you as a club to do is, obviously, if someone comes to you and says, oh, look, I've decided not to play anymore, or something along those lines, you can now cancel their registration. So if you select this, this will obviously remove their registration from your club, and will also remove the ability for you to add them or allocate that player to a team as well. Important one to note here is that in regards to refunds, so cancelling a registration here will not process any refunds. The main reason for this is that as part of their registration, normally, as we demoed before, fees are going to different organisations. So you might have a club fee component, which gets dispersed to the club, a association fee potentially, as well as a Bathville Victoria fee. So those refunds need to be, I guess, actioned away or offline away from the system. The next thing I'll show you is how to create teams and allocate players to them. Okay, so I'm going to go back, and we've got grades and teams here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is select teams. And we've got a couple of teams here already. So you can add a club team, manually do this. And if I'm going to click view for this ABC under 12 boys Tigers team. So here is where you can manually allocate players to a team. Okay, so I select that. Kev Shimell's going to be playing in the under 12 team, boys team. I'm going to allocate that player. And then you've got the option to unallocate, and then obviously allocate more. So all your players who are unallocated will appear here. So if you've got 100 players registered, potentially you might have 100 players on this list here, but you can sort it by gender and date of birth, which will no doubt help you filter those players. Now on the right here is that link that I mentioned before about a participant to club team registration form. So this is a unique link to register to this individual team. So if you don't want to manually allocate players to teams and you have a really good idea of which players will be participating in individual teams, you may want to copy this link, send it out to those players who you wish to register to this team, and then they can then register directly to the team in the same type of process that I showed you before with that end-to-end demonstration of the registration. We've got a team list report here. So this is handy for team managers if they want all the individual information for all their players in a report. So if I press print here, you'll see like an Excel type document with a list of all their personal details, guardians, emergency contacts, etc. And then there's some extra information here. And you can also allocate coaches, assistant coaches, and team managers to the team as well. All right, so I'm going to click back and I'll show you how to allocate teams to grades. So these grades are set up by the association and then will flow down to the clubs to then be able to, able to allocate their teams into grades. So the Monday under 12 boys A, I'm going to add or allocate a team by selecting here for the under boys, sorry, ABC under 12 boys Tigers team, allocate one team. And now that team has been allocated to that grade. You'll see here there's this little padlock, okay? So this is controlled by the association. So at the moment it's unlocked, which allows clubs to allocate teams to the grades. However, the association can lock that or set an open and close date to be able to allocate teams to grades. So if that is locked, then as a club, you won't be able to allocate teams to grades. And obviously associations have the power to override, change allocations, etc. as well. Okay, so not too much longer to go from me. The next thing I'll show you is reports. Okay, so we've built out a number of different reports that will help you, I guess, source information from the system and from your registration. So I'm just going to go through the important reports or ones that I think that you will use quite often. So if I scroll down, I'm in the competitions section, scroll down here, the participation report. So this report will show you, all the list of registrations that have come through and all the details for those people who have registered, which includes their personal details as well as, did they use a voucher, the family discount, was that applied, etc. So you can select the organisation, which is the association, competition season, and then generate that report, and it will appear as an Excel or CSV file. The next report here, financial. So we've got two financial reports, which your treasurers will no doubt find very useful. So the first one is a transaction report, which will list each individual transaction which has been included in the registrations. And then you've got a payout report. So in regards to money being dispersed to your club, how it works, that normally sort of once every 48 hours, there'll be a batch of payments that will be dispersed to your nominated club bank account. Okay, so if you've potentially got 10 registrations over that 48-hour period with payments, those payments or individual transactions would be batched together and then dispersed into your nominated bank account. So you can view this information in the payout report for the batches, and then for the individual transactions, do that here, and you'll be able to match those up, reconcile, do what you need to with that information. The next report here is orders. So here is where the merchandise products will appear. So you get a report of who's purchased what. The SKUs, if you're going to use that for your suppliers, that will be listed here. So you can download this report, provide it to your supplier, and then they can sort out the merchandise and get that back to you. And then once you've generated the reports, they'll appear in this section here for you to then download. And as I mentioned before, they're normally sort of Excel, CSV type files. All right, so I'm just going to show you some public sites before handing back over to Kev. So the first one here is the public PlayHQ website. This is where I can search for an association or club and then drill down to see their fixtures results as well as any registrations that are open. So if I search for ABC, okay, I find the ABC Test Club, and it'll then show me fixtures and ladders. So these are all the competitions that this club is involved with. You can select and then drill down to their fixtures, which I'll show you for a real life example shortly. There's also the register option here. Okay, and this will show you all the registration forms that are currently available or have been recently closed as well. So as a club, this is a handy link at the top here to use, because it's a unique link for all your registrations. So we know a lot of clubs will use this link to house on their individual club website to direct people to register or find the relevant registration form for them to register to. So now I'm going to show you a real life example. So this is the Diamond Valley Basketball Association who've been using PlayHQ, and I'm just going to look at their fixtures and ladders. Okay, so look at their junior domestic comp, select. I'm going to look at their under 14 girls A grade. I'll go to round 5. Okay, and then you'll see a list of all the matches and results here. And if you want to drill down into a game, see individual stats, scores, etc., again, you can do that. And this game was electronically scored with the PlayHQ scoring application. And you'll see here that this information has all been synced, so the players can see how many points they scored, and you can show advanced stats to break down 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, etc. And then looking at a club, it's quite similar, but a tiny bit different. Okay, so I'll look at a Diamond Creek Basketball Club, select the competition that they're in. And again, I can drill down into a specific team and see the team results round by round. And again, click into that, and we can then see a breakdown of who scored the points. Okay, so final thing from me is the support site. So this is support.playhq.com. So this should be your first point of call if you need further information about how to use PlayHQ, or if you've got any questions. Come to this site first, search for what you need to. We've got a number of different articles, as you can see down here, which has helpful information to help you use PlayHQ. So definitely visit this website if you want to get more information. There's also a start a conversation option up here. So if you need to ask us a question or need help or have an issue, please submit a support ticket via starting a conversation. Those support tickets will come through to us, the BV Digital Support Team, and myself, Kev, Dave, or Ben will get back to you in a short period of time. So yeah, so that's it from my end. So look, hopefully you found the demo part of this webinar useful, and I guess from my end, I wish you all the best, and fingers crossed we get basketball back playing on the court sooner rather than later. So I'll hand back now to Kev to just do a quick recap before finishing the webinar.
Yeah, thanks for that, Matt. Now, I've just got a few questions that have come throughout that I want to talk about. So Matt touched on how to access the fixtures and registration area. So players can search via playhq.com, search for your club or association and find what they're after. But we strongly recommend that you copy and paste both the fixtures and registration URLs from either your club or association and pop them on your website, because that's probably, or social media pages, because that's probably a good touch point for players. Another thing that they can do, they can also save their fixtures to their home screen on their phone. So we're not building an app as such, but for various reasons, but by saving or bookmarking the fixtures page to your home screen or your profile to your home screen, you can just click on that, which works pretty much the same as an app. I had a question about communication function. So this is something that's not here just yet. It's quite a complex bit of development that is on the roadmap. So that is definitely coming to enable you to contact your players, coaches, team managers, etc. On electronic scoring, there's a question about whether PlayHQ integrates with courtside. It will not, because courtside and stadium scoring are Sports TG specific applications. So PlayHQ has its own electronic scoring website that works on pretty much most devices on the market: Android, laptop, iPad. It works across all devices. We've specifically built it that way. Now I just got a couple more that have come through. Clearances and permits are currently being built. So the way that we are looking, it's looking like coming across, is that a player will attempt to register at their new club, and if they require a permit, i.e. the association has switched on that ability and they are registered to another club in the same competition, the system will intercept their registration, will send a message off to the source club for approval, the association for approval, the destination club for approval, and then once all those boxes have been ticked, the player can then go register, and then they are cleared to the new club. So we anticipate that will be built in the next couple months. I want to see if there's any others, and I might get Dave to answer the rest of the questions coming through. But yeah, look, that concludes our presentation for today. So thank you for attending. We hope you got a fair bit out of it. As mentioned, the recording and other handy links will be sent out shortly. If there are any questions that haven't been answered today, as Matt touched on, feel free to jump on the support portal and submit a support request, and we'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Look, other than that, let's hope that everyone follows the rules, we keep the virus under control, and we can return to the court as soon as possible. So thanks again for attending. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day.